welcome very much and everyone to this webinar that will focus on building a virtual learning community. And this is a webinar that I personally have been very excited about because it's one of the fundamentals in the learning experience, building this community. But it has been challenged to build a community due to all the lockdowns the past year. So just before we start, and I will introduce myself and the rest of the crew. My name is Lise Andersen-Alstrup, and I'm the Chief Learning Officer at CanopyLAB. I am joining you from cold but sunny Copenhagen in Denmark. We have actually, there's not a lot of snow, but a lot of ice. So pretty cold up here. I have years of experience in the educational technology sector. I've been working in the EdTech industry for about 10 years. And prior to that, I worked as a teacher. So my passion is learning and teaching, and I'm really still curious to see what technology and how technology can support the learning experience. And with me today, I have the joy of I can present my wonderful colleague Natalia from Bogota. Natalia.
Yes, hi everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I am joining you from Bogota, Colombia. So it's just as sunny, but we don't get any ice nor snow. So I'm very, very happy about that. I'm thrilled to be here. Just to give you a little bit of my background and experience so you understand where I'm coming from. I have more than 11 years of experience in the education sector. I was a teacher during that time, and I've taught all the way from little second graders all the way to seniors. And like many of you, I was still in the classroom when all of a sudden, boom, online teaching. And this is one of the reasons why I'm here sharing some of my stories and some of the things I've learned. I am currently the head of partnerships and digital learning for CanopyLAB, and also extremely passionate about finding tools and finding ways in which we can make learning better and have those successful experiences that we normally have in the classroom, have them translated into our virtual environments.
Thank you very much, Natalia. And we'll hear much more from you. And well, also, I also have Georgie. I partly introduced you, Georgie. He will be helping us with the technical issues and also managing the chat. So please, if you have any questions or comments, please write them in the chat. So Georgie, a big hi from you.
Hi, guys.
Well, thank you. So this webinar is scheduled to take about an hour, and it's hosted by CanopyLAB. So just a few words, just some context. So CanopyLAB is an EdTech company. And what we have done is developed and designed what we call a social learning platform. And what is significant for this platform is that it has an integrated social network layer on top of the learning layer. So that is what the platform, the CanopyLAB platform, does. Is that we actually are able to build the courses and the learning processes around a learning community, which we will be discussing today. So let me share my screen so we can look at the agenda. So hopefully everyone can see my screen now. So today we'll address a very important subject when it comes to learning, and that is how we can build a learning community virtually. Like I said in the beginning, it has been almost a year since remote teaching became the new normal. And we are hearing from teachers and students globally saying that, you know, how much they miss their classmates and how they miss this community that was built inside the classroom and in the school. So this webinar, we want to address this because online teaching and blended learning will be part of us for a while. From some will say even for a few years, more or less. And we want to make sure that that the benefits of building a community are still with us regardless of the teaching methods. So the agenda for today is we'll look at why at all build a learning community or a virtual learning community, and what are some of the strategies for building a learning community. We'll take a glance at the CanopyLAB learning platform and look into a product that we're all very proud of, Natalia and I and the team. It's called CanopyLAB. Some of you may know this product. And then finally, we'll take questions, or we're, very happy if you would share some comments or some thoughts and some reflections and inspirations. So yes, so that will take, I'm sure, about an hour. But before we deep dive, Natalia, you have set up a small Mentimeter link. Yes. Because we're very eager to know where you guys are from. So
yes, absolutely. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, but it says host disabled participants screen sharing. So I'm going to need your help with that, Georgie. But in the meantime, group, what I'm going to show you right now is a tool that I really like that's called Mentee Meter. If you haven't used it, take a look at it, because you can incorporate slides into your presentations, and it ensures that everyone is participating. And when you do this, you get more engagement, which is, again, one of the things that we're going to touch upon. So I'm going to write in the chat in the meantime. I want you to go to mentee.com. I am writing in the chat. It's www.mentee.com, and it's going to ask you for a code. And the code we're going to type today, it's going to be 8242677. Let me just write it for you one more time. It's mentee.com, and the code is 8242677. Excellent. So I can already see that people are helping me out with this. Okay, so far, I have some problem with my settings, but I'll get it fixed. I've got one person answering that they're from America. I've got one from Africa, and I've got two from Europe. Which means that already I can tell that there are 4 people who have answered our very, very small survey. And I have 12 attendees plus the ones on Facebook. So just to give you one more time, go to mentee.com and click the code. All right. So in order to keep the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and give the word back to Lisa, and she can share with you guys a little bit more. And that way, when we're doing our closing activity, I will show you how this one looked on my screen and the last activity that we're going to make. Okay. So I will get back to you guys.
Thank you. Let me just see. Now I need to. Okay, so sorry, we have a little bit of difficulties there, sorry. Yes, Georgie, I need your help.
You want to go to your presentation?
Yes, please.
The other browser.
Yeah, but
There.
okay, and I'm sharing. Thanks. Thank you, Georgie. So thank you, Natalia. We are happy to know that we have participants from, well, almost around the world. So let's look at what is actually a virtual learning community. Well, a virtual learning community, or a VLC, is a community where people with a shared learning goal use technology to learn, collaborate, and communicate. So in other words, it's a virtual learning space where, just like a classroom or a school or a learning department at a company or a community center. And we know that teachers worldwide work deliberately to build a safe learning space where collaboration and fun and interaction and meaningful reflection can take place. And well, we have all as all teachers, put a lot of thought and planning into our schools and classrooms and designed it the way we look, design it in a way that it supports, learning community and this engaging atmosphere. So the theory actually behind this learning community builds on what we call social learning and network learning. And social learning is, well, to put it very simple, it's where people, learners learn from each other by observing and interacting and collaborating. And network learning is, there's this very nice phrase that sort of sums it up, is that network learning involves processes of collaboration, cooperative and collective inquiry, knowledge creation, and underpinned by trusting relationships motivated by a sense of shared challenge. And some of the key words is like in network learning and social learning is collaboration, interaction, networking. So we learn from each other by interacting and networking with other learners. So when we manage to create a learning community, we manage to create an environment where there's a sense of belonging for learners. We create an environment, a secure environment that is built in trust, and where it's okay to ask for help and make mistakes, and learn from each other. And finally, it's a community where communication and interaction, sharing and giving and receiving feedback is valued. And this is, you know, crucial when it comes to learning. But now that due to COVID-19, with the transitioning into virtual classrooms, this is of course challenged. You could say that in worst cases, not being able to take part in a learning community online can result in learners experiencing loneliness or detachment, and often losing engagement and motivation in the learning process. I have a personal level. I have two boys who's, you know, again, in Denmark, there's the second wave of lockdown, and it is incredibly difficult to engage them and motivate them because they simply just miss their friends. They miss this community, this sort of platform where you can have fun and you dare to ask questions and give feedback and just, you know, interact with the classmates. So this is incredibly difficult, and I'm sure that you guys out there experience more or less the same. So I know that Natalia, you want to go through some strategies that can, you know, help create a learning community virtually. But before, I'm really curious because you mentioned in the beginning that you were a teacher when COVID-19 hit. So how did you manage to build a virtual learning community and keep it alive? Or did you actually manage to do it?
Well, I have to say I did have a slight advantage at that point. And it's the fact that since we were in March, I had already had the chance of interacting with my students, and I had them in class. So at the end, it was more of a transition rather than a building of a community. However, what's extremely important is that at a certain point, I did have to think, okay, how am I going to start all over? Because, well, basically, I knew that I had kids that weren't turning off their cameras, that weren't showing up to class. And I was concerned. I always thought, how many of my students are actually saying log in, and they would mute themselves, camera off, and then they would go back to sleep, or they would go catch a series on Netflix. So I knew that the sense of community and the sense of belonging that we had to the classroom was something that I had to keep alive. And so I definitely tried to devote part of my class time to the social interactions that normally took place inside and outside the class. So if my class period was 50 minutes, I would dedicate at least 10 minutes just to social interaction, just asking them, you know, how you doing? Oh, show me your dog. You know, I always use pets as an engagement tool. So show me your dog, and I would show them my dog, and I would keep asking, oh, what's it? That's your brother, things like that. But making sure that there was a little bit of room for social interaction, and that there was a little bit of room for mess, I have to say. You know, at the beginning, you have 25, 26 teenage girls logging in at the same time saying hi. That could get noisy and messy, but I like that because it was building again on a sense of community. But definitely after a while, I started studying, and I started looking at the things that we needed to do, thinking about how am I going to start a new year, or how am I going to start with a new group from scratch, and how am I going to build a community that actually thrives in the online environment and that is actually successful when it comes to academic practices. So I want to share those strategies with you, if that's okay, Lise?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Thank
I'm
you,
going to share
Natalia.
3 strategies with you guys today that I feel are the basis for starting a good virtual community. And we chose this topic because we know a lot of you are starting with new groups. And a lot of you are starting with new classes. So these are strategies that you can put hands on and start practicing today to have a better learning community. So let's get started with the first one. Thank you. All right, so the first one, we're going to identify our community's needs and we're going to dedicate time to get to know your community. I know that we struggle, and I know that we are always worried that we're not going to meet the syllabus. I know I was always worried. And personally, I felt that every year I used to teach history, I was going back like 100 years and I was not meeting the goal and the concepts and everything. But I really don't think that that should be our priority right now. And I think that you should dedicate some of your classes to get to know who your students are, who is your community, because this way you're going to identify their needs. Clearly, you don't have the same needs when you have 10-year-olds than when you have 15-year-olds or when you have 25-year-olds. Lisa was mentioning that it's difficult with her kids, and of course it is. When you have kids who basically their whole school experience and what they love the most about their school is their friends, it's difficult. So we need to identify their needs. How are their connections? Do all of them have laptops, or are all of them able to actually access your classes? What is going on at home that may present a difficulty? And based on that, we would have activities to get to know your community. So in here, you can use a variety of tools. You can use tools such as Padlet, which is also free, where you can have a bit of a poster of who your students are, and they can take a picture of themselves, and they can write something that's interesting. And if you don't have access to these tools, or these tools are difficult to find or to use, then you can just use your synchronous time to get to know one another. Knowing the little details matters a lot. For example, do they like this class? Is this a class that is difficult for them? What do they like learning about? How do they like learning? What is something that they do for fun? How are they dealing with fun during these times? So identifying those little things can make a huge difference. To give you an example, one of the things that my students missed the most was physical activity. Oh my God, they were so bored just sitting all day looking at a screen. So we started sharing what we missed, and we missed running and we missed playing. And I gotta tell you something, even inside history, once every 2 to 3 weeks, we all worked out together. This may seem crazy, but we were all just jumping and playing, and I would follow the routines with them. And it was just fun. And they liked coming to the class because I identified a need and I tried to respond as much as I could. So that's the first one, identifying your community's needs and dedicating time to get to know your community. Second one, super, super important. We need to establish and reinforce the Netiquette protocols. So the school that I used to work for was very, very strict on their protocols when it came to class. So girls wore a uniform, and they were expected to wear their uniform in a certain manner. They could not have cell phones at school. Only water was allowed, and they could not eat. They couldn't have their name. I mean, lots of things the school had decided upon, and it was agreed upon by everyone. What happens when you have them outside the classroom? Is it going to be the same Netiquette? Are we going to have the same protocols? How are we going to deal with attendance? How are we going to deal with cell phones? How are we going to deal with food? Because I don't know if this happened to you, but at the very beginning, it was very difficult to coordinate the schedules of everyone inside the family. So I would be in the middle of my history class talking about the Crusades, and I would see that a girl was being served her lunch, something in front, and I'd be like, kind of want to see what she's eating. And she would be eating in the middle of class, but I felt really bad because at the end of it, it wasn't her fault. She got her lunch. How was I going to deal with that? How was I going to deal with pajamas? Were pajamas okay? So many of the girls, some days they require them to wear uniforms. So I would see that they would just have their hoodies on, and then pajamas underneath. So how was I gonna do that? The best way to do it is take time inside your first class to establish these protocols. There are things that are not gonna be negotiable. For instance, attendance for me was not negotiable. You have to be here, unless obviously there's an emergency or something happens, but you have to be here. Participation, just talking in class. In my class, it was not an option. They knew that they would get asked questions, and I would use the Mentee Meters, and I would ask forums and all sorts of things just to make sure that everyone was participating. But I had some optional ones. Let me give you an example. We had class at 7 a.m. on Fridays. So I said, okay, the rest of the days, food is not okay. You have to be ready. You have to be showered. You have to have your breakfast, and you have to be ready. But on Friday, tell you what, you guys can be in your pajamas if you wish, and you can have breakfast during the first 15 minutes of class. And these were some of the social spaces that I'm telling you about, we made it pancake day, we made it orange juice, something like that. And then after those 15 minutes, we started class. And it was nice because it was an agreement that we came up with my students. So if I establish and I reinforce it, it's very important. If you have little ones, my advice is just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and role play with them. So show them how it looks like not to be attentive. If I tell a 5-year-old, you have to be listening, they're going to be like, But if I go like this, right? I say, hey, where's my student? Where did it go? Then I'm showing them exactly how it looks like. And taking a couple of classes to just reinforce what the expected behaviors are is going to go a very long way when it comes to your engagement. Let's move on to the third one. And my third and last one, you have to promote a culture of collaboration, communication, and engagement. And what we mean by this is that what really helps us learn is working with others. But that doesn't come in naturally if you're doing it online. Even when you're not online, you still have to, I don't know if it happens to you, but whenever I would say we have a group work, I would always have a student come up to me and say, can I work by myself? And the answer was not now. Right now, we're all working together and we're collaborating with one another. But we have to be very mindful of this and actually create these spaces. So when I am planning for my sessions and I am planning for my classes, it is important that we think about collaboration spaces. Careful, not only group work, because we don't want our students just to divide and say, oh, I'll read from pages 1 to 5 and answer the questions, and you do 6 to 10. No, we want them to collaborate. So we want them to have specific roles. We want them to have spaces where they can talk, and we want them to have spaces where they can discuss, and we want them to have deliverables that can only come from collaboration. You can use, again, tools in which they have to all work together. If you are using, you have a document that they have to do together, something that they build together. So it's important just to collaborate. A culture of communication. Communication is key when you have online learning and when you have a community. I know that when I was in the classroom, my students gave me lots of visual cues if they were engaged or not. And I could see if something was going on. I could see if one of my students was very upset. I could see if one of my students was very tired. I could see if they were super eager and jumping up and down because they were happy. I don't know. But when I had them online, I had to adjust to these cues. So when you have communication, then things are going to get better. So just by taking 3 to 4 minutes when students are jumping in, asking them if they are okay, how's their day been, if they've struggled with something. Again, it's just a matter of communicating your expectations clearly and giving your students a space to communicate as well. And finally, engagement. There is nothing more boring than staring at a screen and have a teacher just talk to me and I'd be like, well, Isn't this the same as a YouTube video? Yeah. So when you promote engagement, things are very, very different. When you ask questions, when you vary your teaching, so it's not just about me talking, it's about me talking and then asking someone to write something in the chat, asking them to give their opinion, asking them to take a poll. So when students know that they're there in a computer, but yet they're expected to do something with it, then that promotes a culture of engagement. So those are my three. I know that I went probably with a lot of information and sharing a lot of what we've done, but these are three things that you can implement today and that they're gonna definitely make your learning community a lot more successful.
Thank you very much, Natalia, for these hands-on, yet very effective, I'm sure, strategies and tools in way to create this community. What I really liked was that you mentioned this agreement with your students, and I think that is absolutely key, especially, and now, I mean, in the second or third wave or whatever we're in right now, teachers, they become better at this, and students become better at this, and it's absolutely okay to sort of make this agreement saying, well, as a teacher, I expect you to do this and that, but also asking the students, you know, how can we improve? What would you like? What is challenging for you? How can I help you even further? So I think this is really where we are right now, that we need to help each other, student and teacher. So I don't know, did we lose, let's see, did we lose Natalia? Okay. But if we look at a lot of the other digital learning platforms that we have, we see that they, sorry?
You're not sharing your screen.
Yes, I can see her screen.
There it is.
Yeah? Okay, sorry, I just, Georgie just told me that I wasn't sharing anything, but I am happy about that. But what I was saying is that when we look at a lot of learning digital or digital learning platforms right now, we see that they provide, most of them provide learners with a syllabus and instructions. And then, of course, we have the remote teaching sessions through Zoom and Teams and other communication tools. But that's it. In most cases, there isn't really, it isn't really creating this learning community like you're describing, Natalia, not in one platform, and that it really demands a lot from the teacher if you have to be, that creative. I can imagine, Natalia, very creative, very energized teacher with a lot of tools and features you can draw from, but it's difficult if you have to be that creative all the time as a teacher. But this is, what CanopyLAB also tries to do. We try to create a learning platform where this is actually possible to create. Perhaps, Natalia, you will take us through the platform and just focus on, not just a few features, but especially focusing on building this learning community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And as a matter of fact, one of our attendees, Edna, is just asking, are we going to learn about CanopyLAB in this session and how we can use it. So yes, absolutely. I'm glad to tell you that that's exactly what we're going to do right now. So one of the things that we know about virtual communities is that we need, again, the sense of community, and we need the social interaction. So what I'm going to go through right now is I'm going to tell you 5 things that the platform CanopyLAB does have, and that it really does help when you want social interaction and when you want to build a community. And then after I've gone through these 5 and I've told you why they are important, then I'm going to move on to the platform and show you this live and show you how it works. Okay, so what happens? The first one, if I can make sure that each student and instructor has a personal profile, this is great. Why? Because first I can show off what my learning has been like, and I can show the courses or the concepts that I've learned, and I can show what I'm interested in. There's a huge interest in sharing in social media. That's one of the main reasons why people have social media, and it's sharing what they've done and what they've accomplished. So when you can do it inside a safe environment that allows me to see what my other peers are sharing, and it's a safe academic space, then it's great that I get to have my own profile that I'm accountable for. The second one is that I get to have a newsfeed that has educational and entertaining content for my students. So if I can see, I don't know, if we are looking at something interesting in my history class, and then all of a sudden I come up with, when I'm browsing around, I can see a virtual museum that's offering a tour. I can share it here and share with the rest of my peers and be like, look at this. This is pretty cool. This is something that I've learned. This is something new. So I get to share and I get to see what my other peers and other people from my school are sharing, again, in a safe and academic environment. The third one, it allows me to follow, comment, and share. So I can follow all my classmates, I can follow my instructors, and this is going to ensure that I see whatever they're sharing when I'm in the news feed. And I can see what they're showing us, I can see what they're learning, I can see what they're doing. And I can also share whatever they're posting as well. So this increases how many people actually have access to what we're talking about. So again, it's just the follow, comment, like, share options that you get in your social media. You have it in a platform such as CanopyLAB. The fourth one, and this is one of my favorite ones, that you get to communicate directly with learners, instructors, and coordinators. Isn't it a bit hectic sometimes when you have to, create content in one place, assign the homework in another, and then go to the email to communicate directly? It's a bit hectic, and sometimes information gets lost along the way, because then the problem is that students can say, oh, there was homework? I didn't check my email. And it's like, wait. So when we have everything joined in one single space, then it becomes a lot easier, and you can communicate directly messages. And then finally, you get to reinforce what you have learned in class through online discussions. So when you open a forum for a class, then you can have a particular discussion on what's going on, what do you think, what do you feel. You can open a thread specifically for it. So you have academic sharing going on there. And then if you have the advantage of having a live feature, such as we have in CanopyLAB with our integration of Zoom, then you can have the discussions taking place right there, okay? So now, let's see if I can actually share my screen. And I'll show you how it works. Oh, yay, it's letting me. Awesome. So, if you can do me a favor and give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen, that'd be great. Awesome. So right now I'm signing on to one of our environments of CanopyLAB, and you can see that the first thing that pops up is I have my personal profile. If you are already in TeacherLab and you do not follow me, make sure you do. I post some interesting stuff here and there. So the first thing I get is my personal profile, in which I get my picture, I get my cover image, and here you can see the people that I'm following and the followers. And I have a very, very small biography that briefly describes my interests. In here, I can see my tags, which tell you what I've learned about. So if you look at this, you can be like, huh, this girl kind of knows about digital education. And obviously, the more you learn, the more tags you get. So that's the first thing. I have my own personal profile. And the second thing is I get my newsfeed. So if I click here, it's going to suggest people that I can follow, but I get everything that from the people that I follow or the organizations that I follow. So for example, TeacherLab was reminding me to sign up for the webinar. Then I can see that Lise shared something that Sarah Josephine shared, and I can take a look at the articles, I can take a look at the videos, I can see everything that the people in my network have shared. So something that David has shared, again, Sarah, and I can see everything that's around. I can also take a look at the courses that are there, and I can decide to take them. But again, since we talked about the newsfeed, then we're gonna focus on that. When I am talking about being able to directly communicate, all I have to do is click on message, and I can look for someone inside the platform. So in here, I'm looking for Sarah Josephine, our CEO, and I'm clicking here, and I can write her a message. It's as easy as that. You don't need to go into your email. You don't need to go into any other type of account. You can just do it and just communicate with her directly. About this webinar, so of course I have to like it, I have to give it some love, and I can comment in it, and I can say, yes, I am joining, right? Just as you would in your regular social media, you can do this. And I can also share it so that people who follow me will then know that there's going to be a webinar later on. These are the features that we mentioned. Again, social media features that help us with social learning and help us build a community. And the last one is what we talked about, reinforcing what you've learned in class through discussions. So if I were to take a look at the courses that I can take, I can see all of these courses. Let's go into one that I've done. For those of you who haven't been inside our platform has videos, has all sorts of contents, has exercises, all sorts of things that you can get to do. But let me just check. Yes, so in this one, I'm already enrolled, and I can go into the forum. So for example, I can see everything that has been posted in regards to this one. So for example, Karen was asking, hey, can someone tell me how to convince students to have their camera on, especially in the morning classes? What a great question. Not easy, but we can do it. And I can see, you know, Angela, she's a 5th grade teacher in upstate New York. She's enjoying the courses. Angela would also love to hear about our biggest challenges and successes. And some people like it, some people comment. So again, it's reinforcing what you already discussed in class. You can have another discussion taking place in the forums of the courses. And again, this is just a very, very, very small overview of everything that our platform has to offer. But it's definitely different to others when you think about the possibility of actually using all the cool features of social interaction into one single platform. Let me go back. Here we are. All right. I think I'm ready again for you, Lise.
So, well, thank you very much, Natalia, for that quick overview. So hopefully all of you got, you know, a sense that, well, the CanopyLAB platform is really, this is a virtual learning community that can engage all the learners on the platform, interaction, collaboration, communication, sharing, and getting, supporting that sense of belongingness and interaction, which is really crucial. So, of course, I would need to mention that building a learning community like what Natalia just showed takes effort. It has, you know, everyone needs, both teachers and students need to be behind this, but that is what, right, interaction, either whether it's physical or virtual, what it really takes. You need to get behind it and support it. So, Natalia, we're really, time is flying. A lot of information, a lot of hopefully some hands-on ideas and ways to go about it, or hopefully some reflections and ideas that you can take with you in your remote teaching. Now we have time if you have a few questions or comments or in something you want to share with this very small community, that this is actually also, you know, a learning community within this webinar. So let's share. What experience have you had with building a remote a community, engaging your students remotely? What insights can you give your fellow teachers?
Okay, but you know what? I want to do something with that, because I want to get everyone to participate, and I want to finally show you my Mentee Meter. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen once more. And this time, what I want to do is I want to show you how it looks. So remember the first one that we did? Which continent are you listening from? So if I were to use this in my live class, this is exactly how it would look like. I would note that there's 12 voices, and I would know that I have 6 people from Africa. Wow, amazing. Thank you guys for joining us so much. 3 people from America. I've got no takers from Asia and no takers from Oceania. I'm kind of guessing it has to do with the time difference and the fact that they might be sleeping by now, but I can do all these sorts of questions, and I can ask them all sorts of things when I'm using Mentimeter. But let's do the last one. So what I want you to do now, you're going to go the same thing, mentee.com, and the same code. And I want you to write your key takeaway from this session. So if you were to tell someone today, another teacher friend, about one idea, one little thing that you get from this session, what would it be? Just take your time and write it, and we'll see how it looks. Wow, all of those.
Okay, so and while we wait for the key takeaways, I just want to address a question from Edna, who was so kind to write in the chat, where she actually asks a question: where is CanopyLAB, the CanopyLAB learning platform, really, and is it an alternative? And yes, it's an alternative learning platform from many other platforms that you might be using. So you could either use the CanopyLAB platform in your school or in your educational institution and invite all your students to your closed learning environment, build up all your courses, and have your students interact on your platform. So yes, you can integrate it as your learning platform on your school. So Natalia, we have some. It's all about design. It's all about design of the learning process. I'm sure that's what is meant, and I definitely agree. It is really about designing a learning process that makes sense and has differentiation and interaction and a variety.
Perfect. So as you can see, what happens here, and again, this is why I say you can use all sorts of tools for engagement, because this is something that I would use at the end of my classes. So what did you learn? What happened? So we've got, it's all about design, engagement and participation of your community. I've got build a sense of connection with community members. Couldn't agree more. Taking time to know my students will pay off. That it's a good idea to schedule social time during each session, and that you need to actively schedule time for establishing netiquette. Yes, absolutely. The importance of establishing netiquette, communicating with students and other teachers. Hopefully, process of using this platform is going to be smooth and easy. Oh, it is, trust us. And this, again, it's something that's pretty cool. If I were to have my 25 students, I could have many voices and I could just go through some of them. And this would give me, again, a sense of how much did people actually learn from the session. And again, it's enforcing communication and engagement. And one of the things that we're looking for. If you like this tool, I'll mention it one more time. This is called Mentee Meter. And you can use up to 2 slides without any charge. And it's very, very easy to use. You just go to mentimeter.com and you can create all sorts of this. But this is a good way of closing. So we have some of your comments there. And let's move on to questions if there are any more.
Yeah, there's another great question from Mohammed, who asks, what about interacting with content at asynchronous time? And Natalia briefly mentioned in her presentation of the platform, of the CanopyLAB platform, that the courses, the way you are able to create or design a learning process or a course on the CanopyLAB platform is to really integrate the exercises. So even though it might be synchronous teaching or asynchronous or a blended version, where you can have you can provide your students with videos or materials, whatever you want them to work with as content, and then you can build your exercises. And you can find more than 50 exercises on the platform, like brainstorming, role playing, debating, defining, all kinds of exercises that will really activate your learners, your students, with the content, where you don't even have to, be there as a teacher. You can simply design your course and have your students engage and interact with the content. And then, of course, you can also, if you wish to, have your live sessions, and so through Zoom, like Natalia also mentioned. So there's various ways you can build courses and learning processes on the CanopyLAB platform. Thank you so much, everyone, for asking the questions and participating in the Mentimeter. We're so happy to see that you to read your key takeaways. So I think you got some of the essence of what we wanted to give you in this webinar. So I just, oh yeah, Georgie is, yeah, I just, that was, Georgie just mentioned again, he loved the question from Mohammed. So, but I think we covered that. So just what you should know is that, so I mentioned that you are able to use the CanopyLAB platform as as your learning platform on your school, please contact us if you think that would be relevant. We would love to go even further into the platform and its features. If you, as teachers or educators, are interested in learning or getting more support on all kinds of remote teaching or how to build 21st century skills, etc., you can go to the CanopyLAB platform that Natalia showed. That is free. Everyone can join, and you can get a sense of that community that is really about supporting teachers, educators, globally. We have, it's just so rewarding to see the engagement on the platform and how many students enroll in courses and complete them and learn from them. What else, Natalia?
Just to build on that. So if you want us to tell you a little bit more about the platform and how this can be a solution for your educational platform, we will tell you our email so that you can please contact us. Or if you feel that this is something that might be of interest for a coordinator or something else, just please reach out. But we do have two important free tools that we can definitely share with you. The first one, like Lise mentioned, is TeacherLab. I have already pasted the link on the chat. TeacherLab is a community of teachers that have made courses for teachers. And there's a lot of engagement, a lot of questions. We address not only aspects of remote teaching, but also aspects of teaching in general. 21st century skills, resilience in the classroom. All of these things are things that we can definitely get into when you're in TeacherLab. And you can take these courses on your own time, and it'll also help you explore a little bit about the platform and understand how it works. And then the second last thing that I wanted to share with you is there is a show that we have on YouTube that is pretty cool, and we're constantly sharing tips not only for teachers but for the public in general, and it talks about all the tech news that you may want, all the things that are going on in tech, like Lise mentioned at first and I mentioned. We are also we are education passionists, but then we also have a big passion for technology. So we're sharing those there. And Georgie will share with you the link or how you can access this show, but we are releasing it constantly, and it's pretty cool to watch, and you can learn lots of things from there.
Thank you very much, Natalia, for stating that. Please join us either in TeacherLab or on the show, or contact us. You should know, last remark from me is that we host more webinars. If you're interested, stay tuned. I'm sure a lot of new exciting webinars will be relevant to you or someone you know. So please share. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Take care of yourself and your students. And see you next time.